panel discussion, and it will continue on the theme of tonight's program by exploring alternatives to factory farms or CAFOs. So I'm going to introduce the panel, but please hold your applause till we come through. So I would like to start, Ray, if you would come back up and take a seat as soon as we get the seats out here. Ray is going to be on the panel here tonight. And the next on the panel, if you all would come on up as I call your name, is Kris Johnson. Kris is manager of the new Regenerative Agricultural Project at Maharishi University of Management. Kris has previously managed Fairfield's Farm to School greenhouse and was assistant director of the Red Earth Gardens, which is the Meskwaki nation's vegetable farm in Kama Island. Okay, next on our panel, and we'll get you applause when we get all through here, okay? Next on our panel is Dean Goodale. Dean, if you'd come up. Dean is the founder of Legacy Pork, which is a new and promising alternative to CAFOs for farmers in Jefferson County. And he'll tell you a lot more about this when in the panel presentation. Dean previously launched and managed Maharishi Vedic Organic Farm for 10 years before he started in this endeavor. Okay, our final panel member then is Kris Petersen. Kris is a longtime acquaintance of mine, and he's the producer of the Berkshire pork that my wife Ellen and I have been enjoying from our freezer for a while. We bought a half pig from Kris, and Kris is a traditional independent family farmer who raises non-CAFO pork for discriminating customers. He's also a consultant for the Social Responsible Agriculture Project and a board member of Organization for Competitive Markets, and he's a well-known national advocate for independent family farms. And finally, our moderator of tonight's panel is Francis Thicke. Francis needs no introduction to most of us here in Fairfield because he produces the milk and yogurt that many of us drink every day of the week. He's a co-owner with his wife Susan of Radiance Dairy, which is located just north of town. He's also a former member of the National Organic Standard Board and a previous candidate for Iowa Secretary of Agriculture, a member of the Fairfield Municipal Band. In addition, he's a JFAN board member, and you could probably go on down to a longer list. So let's welcome the panel with a round of applause, okay? So, Francis, at this point, the panel is all yours, okay?
Thank you, John. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you, John. It's my privilege to be able to moderate this panel with all this collective wisdom here. What we're going to do is have these first three panelists each speak for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to open it up for questions. Well, first I have a few questions for them, and then the four of them will respond to questions. So first of all, I think, was it Kris Johnson on the first? Are you first, John? Kris? Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Hello. We have three main goals at the MUM Regenerative Organic Agriculture Farm. We produce the best food possible. That means safe, healthy, and nutrient-dense food. We use the best practices that are practically possible. We use tried and true organic methods, such as compost and crop rotation, but we also use a mix of experimental, new, and sometimes student-led initiatives. But the most important thing we do on the farm is educate our students on how we do both of those things. We commit to making our farm and our models as real to life as possible. We believe that our students should be prepared for the real world. But what is the reality of the real world? Markets that don't pay conventional farmers a fair wage, often leaving them to farm for a break-even at best. Temperamental and changing environmental conditions, when we get summer in March, and a quarter of our annual rainfall in a 2-week period in August. And shrinking small communities and booming urban sprawl, which devastates our local economies and food systems. Given such conditions, how do we hope to educate our students effectively? How can we ethically teach them anything? Well, I believe we need to return to the basics. We need to go back to the very core principles that allow agriculture to flourish anywhere in the world. And where do we find those principles? Conventional models? No, we've been talking about that all this evening. They're not really working that well. Ag textbooks? Well, it's kind of more of the same. No, we look to nature. Nature's been doing guess and check for about 1 million years, probably more. Nature fertilizes itself and manages its own pests. Nature produces multiple yields in the same footprint that no one organism could possibly hope to consume on its own. And nature functions in wholes, as interconnected systems, where if one link breaks, two more fill in. Instead of teaching methods that challenge and fight nature every step of the way, we want to teach models and thinking that lead to working with nature, that mimic it and focus its yields in ways that are useful to us. No slides, it's okay. Do we have it? No. Another one? Don't pay attention to that one. There we go. These are the principles and ethics that I found exemplified in the tree-range poultry system. Tree-range poultry thinks of chickens like this: multiple outputs, products and behaviors that can be seen as yields and services, inputs that come from diverse sources, grains, forage, food scraps. It functions using ecological principles, allowing diverse scales from the backyard size to a full-on modern CAFO size. It can function in multiple environments from South, Central, and North America. And any farmer can run it at any experience level, from beginner to expert. I was excited to learn about and implement the Main Street Project model myself, and I went there. I had to know. I had to see it for myself, how it works and how we could do it here. MUM, Fairfield Economic Development leaders, and Jefferson County residents are all engaged in starting a tree-range poultry system here. We have the beginnings of one system at our MUM training farm, and we're also identifying other sites around the county where they could possibly be implemented. We've planted about 2 acres of hazelnuts at the training farm, have a tentative building site for the facility for the chickens themselves, and more space on site for more chickens if necessary. We're working with the community to try to figure out where this will work best, either at MUM or somewhere else. This is about more than trying out a new agricultural production model. This is about our community and keeping it vibrant and a joy to live in for the generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Kris. We look forward to seeing this project develop. And Dean Goodale Dean wants to sit over there. Go ahead.
Can we do this? Is that all right?
Yes. Dean has launched a exciting new business, New Legacy Pork. I'm very interested to learn more about this.
All right. First of all, I want to congratulate JFAN for hosting this forum on alternative animal production protocols. Having made my living farming for the past 20 years, I understand agricultural practices, challenges facing the industry, and supply and demand issues. And I've also come to the same conclusion that JFAN has regarding our best options for addressing the animal confinement threat. And the models put forth here tonight are the solution. The fact is that over 7 billion of the 7.5 billion people on this planet eat meat, and pork leads all meat categories in terms of consumption. Sorry, Reggie, chicken's number 2. There is global demand for meat products. It's not going away anytime soon, and we live in an area where production of that meat will take place. But we do have an opportunity to impact the manner in which livestock is raised. We do have an opportunity to improve air and water quality. And we also have an opportunity to heal the social divide that pits farming interests against community interests. We have an opportunity to create a win-win for all concerned. That was all supposed to be on the first slide. Okay. So we have an opportunity to create a win-win for all concerned, and that's why I started New Legacy Pork. If you look at the logo, New Legacy is our company and Big Belly is our brand. Again, I didn't do that. There's our brand. Okay. So what is New Legacy for? All right. New Legacy, we manage production, processing, and marketing. On the production end, we currently have 14 farmers contracted to produce for us. Our current production is at over 13,000 hog a year pace with sales value of over $10 million annually. That is in place now and will increase quickly as we add more farmers to our program. As far as processing goes, we've contracted with a USDA certified processing facility in Des Moines, but our main focus is our marketing. We're primarily focused set up as a marketing company. It's really the missing link in a lot of the efforts that individual farmers have to try to market to produce alternative products. We have a two-pronged marketing approach. We have an in-house direct marketing program that's being spearheaded by Cliff Rose. We will advertise on a variety of platforms and consumers will be able to purchase our product directly from our webpage. We will also be selling through retail outlets. For this, we have partnered with Damon Worldwide. Damon's the largest food distributor in the United States. They have a major division dedicated to fresh meat sales. And what's amazing is we've signed a contract with them guaranteeing the sales of all of our product. In addition to accessing Damon's expertise in creative design, labeling, packaging, sales, and distribution, our contract with Damon puts us in a position a startup like ours could only dream of. It also gives us nearly unlimited growth potential. So quickly, what we're doing with our program, the two primary things that make us different, we're following an animal husbandry and animal welfare program called Global Animal Partnership. It's a third-party verification system for animal welfare. Also non-GMO Project Verified. And for us, non-GMO Project Verified is not just the contents of our processed food products, but all of the feed that's fed to our animals is also non-GM certified. The Global Animal Partnership is a five-step process. We're at level 3. Level 3 is where the outdoor access and 24-hour outdoor access is first mandated for the animals. So that's part of our program. In addition to those two things, and a lot of these fall under the Global Animal Partnership. We're antibiotic-free, we're hormone-free, outdoor access I mentioned. Sustainable farming practices are implemented. No liquid manure pits whatsoever. All of our manure is aerobically composted. You pretty much have to stand on top of these things to smell them. I invite you to do that if you like. Ractopamine free, we have deep bedded straw for our animals. Comfort, humanely raised. Community friendly, what I mean by that basically is the smell doesn't leave the farm. This does not impact neighbors in the way that a confinement does. We don't, and then again, it's more of the humanely raised. No fairing traits. We also don't do teeth clipping, tail docking, nose ringing, etc. Okay. Also, this is important. What are we offering farmers? Lower entry costs and lower financial risk. The business of going into a business for a CAFO confinement is it's actually quite a bit of debt you go into as a farmer. With our program, you really don't need to do a fraction of the amount of debt. We offer educational opportunities, animal ownership, chance to farm full-time. That's a big thing for farmers, by the way, being able to farm full-time. With the CAFO model, they tell you, well, in 10 to 12 years when you pay off your mortgage, then it's all going to be, peaches and cream. Chance to farm full-time with our program, you can probably get to that point within the first year of working with us. We also offer financing assistance through regional banks. We pay top dollar for the animals. And we also have 15% profit sharing that we do with our producers. The way forward here is to offer farmers an option that is ethically and environmentally more in line with an agricultural model this community and JFAN accepts, and create incentives, including healthy financial incentives for farmers to pursue this alternative. I started New Leslie Pork to address the confinement issue in a positive and proactive manner. If you agree with this approach and would be interested in supporting this project through investment, please let me know. Working together, we can ensure Fairfield remains a shining example of community, ecology, education, enlightenment, entrepreneurship, and all possibilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. It's really great to have this opportunity available here locally for farmers who want to do something besides CAFOs. Next, my good friend Kris Petersen is going to be speaking, and every time I go up to the Des Moines, up to the Capitol or somewhere where something is happening, Kris is there, and probably he's there a lot of times when I'm not there. Actually, Kris was given the name by RFK Jr., Robert Kennedy Jr., yeah. The name Freedom Fighter, right, Kris?
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a long day. I come from about 4 hours north of here. I get around a lot. I bleed rural. I bleed and stand with and feel the pain and the good things about family farm agriculture. I've been doing this for 25 years alongside of farming myself. And this is me. This is my sow herd, part of it. These gals are all gonna have babies. Looks like they're a couple months away, but that's some of my little ones. They're a few days old, and I use a European model. It's too hard to explain it, but I farrow the sows separately, either in A houses or in individual little buildings that have stalls in them where the sows can go in and out. I call them sow condos. And the little pigs, when they get big enough, they can get out, but at about 10 days old, the wife and I start gathering them up and castrating the males and vaccinating. I don't do antibiotics for anything. I don't need to. And then we group the sows together along with the little pigs, probably 10, 12, 15 litters per bunch, with an area the little pigs can go back in, and have a couple of heat lamps, draws them away from mama on cooler nights so they don't get laid on. There's also starter feed back in there so they start eating. And at about 4 to 5 weeks, I don't wean early. Common sense farming, okay? It's far cheaper to feed 1 mouse than 8 or 9 mouse. And so I don't wean the little pigs till they're 4 to 5 weeks old, and I take the sows out, leave the pigs in the building with the same environment, the heat lamps and everything for a while. Heck of a lot less stress. So that's one of the reasons you don't need the antibiotics and all this other stuff. It's called raising hogs on the cheap. And I've always done it this way. And it's better for the animals, it's better for the farmer, it's better for the farmer's pocketbook because you're putting more money in it than leaving. And by that I mean, the CAFO industry put up these expensive buildings. I associate these young farmers getting started, putting up CAFOs and everything comparable to the urban people, the urban kids who have this massive college debt they're forever stuck with. And when you raise livestock this way, you're gonna make some money. And, it's all about local and sustainable. And organics is fine, but I'm sold on local and sustainable. Know your farmer, know your food. And Oop, always pointing the wrong way. Wow, we're going into hyperspace here. This is part of a litter I had to bring in last fall because they got cold. And again, this is a family farm, not a corporate farm. Brought them in the house, put a heat lamp over them, and they were barely moving when I brought them in. Within an hour and a half, they were hungry, they were looking for mama. So, back outside we go. Well, this is what happens when you farrow in the spring especially, and it starts getting warmer days, warmer and warmer, and the natural heat lamp. These little pigs come out and lay like this, it's sunbathing. They love the warm sun and the clean air and everything else, just like humans do, right? That's one of the end results. Berkshire bacon, best on the planet as far as I'm concerned. The Berkshire breed, nationwide, domestic, they've won tasting awards and meat quality awards across the board, even by the national pork producers, believe it or not. They have to admit to a few things. Another end result, pork chops on the grill, best on the planet as far as I'm concerned. This is our two grandkids, and our daughter, and that's her husband there, Curtis. They got an acreage, and they're doing a lot of things with some cattle and sustainable food, marketing, everything else. So they're starting to get into this a little bit too, very proud of them. And of course, my pigs. I guess that's it. But to top it off, again, there's ways for family farmers to stay in business and do things within the social parameters. You don't stink up the neighborhood, you don't ruin people's water. Animal welfare, everything included in that, and quite frankly, as a farmer, I'm not an animal rights guy, but I sure the heck am an animal welfare guy. I believe in taking care of these animals. I belong to a marketing group called Berkshire Gold. We have a few hundred producers across the state of Iowa, and we have group marketing contracts, not individual contracts. And it seems to work very well. The prices are good, keeps me in business. I sell a lot of pigs on Facebook now. Facebook marketing, unbelievable. The growth in that. And it's an easy sell. I just post pictures of my pigs and explain the process for what I do. And I got pigs going to Missouri, Minnesota, Wisconsin, all over, and nobody complains. I have never had complaints on this. And animal husbandry doesn't exist anymore in the pig world. Not one land grant in this country teaches animal husbandry anymore. It's animal science. That's what has happened to this industry. And quite frankly, what I'm doing today, I was doing basically with a few changes, same thing 25, 30 years ago. Back then, it was called mainstream agriculture. You know what they call it now? Niche or alternative. That's what the industry and the politicians and federal foreign policy have done to the family farm. Pretty sad. So, all I can say is support your local farmer regardless of what he's producing. And by the way, the industry talks about all of us pork producers. I don't raise pork. I'm not a pork producer, I'm a pig farmer. I raise pigs. Thank you.
Thank you, Kris. The process now is that we're going to just discuss for a few minutes here, and then there'll be a 5-minute break, and then we'll take questions from the audience. And John, you'll have to be the timekeeper here. Okay, so I had a question for the panel. First of all, what has to happen for these alternative, you don't call them alternative, regenerative farming systems to be financially viable for a larger cross-section of farmers?
Well, like I was mentioning up there, you guys, we all got to, as family farmers, we got to start working for ourselves again. Figure out a way to keep the bankers and the input specialists and all them people out of your pocket. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these guys, they end up working for the CAFO owner, the CAFO owners like Smithfield or whoever. You'll end up working for the machinery companies, the fertilizer companies, the chemical companies, and at the end of the day, at the end of the year, you're hoping for a sliver to be able to live off of. And that's the problem I see in agriculture today. A number of years ago, I think it was 10, 12 years ago, Des Moines Register, the ag guy over there, he's retired now, Jerry Perkins, wonderful guy, called me up one day and he says, "Hey, you interested in doing a story?" I said, "Well, yeah, what are we going to talk about?" And he ran a story on me how this farmer was making more money raising 400 pigs a year than he was when he was a commercial grower in the 90s before the ASAN hogs hit, raising 3,000 head of pigs a year. That's the key. Smarts. Know your business, know what to do. You know, I call it farming smart instead of letting everybody get in your pocket.
So for us, it was really a matter of answering that question way before we got any farmers producing poultry for the tree range label. The first thing we knew was that as a farmer, we are nobodies really in this conventional system. Even as a regional farmers, it's still way too small to actually have any economic power, any influence at the level that we need to have it to make it more affordable for a lot more farmers. So the first thing we did was we looked at different layers of the system infrastructure we had to build. You know, growing pork, or pigs, or growing chickens and farming, that is not a system. That's a operation that we run on our own farm. It's part of a larger system. And what makes it affordable and possible and economically feasible for those individual farmers to actually become for a system to make it more affordable, more spread out for those farmers to be able to access the system is to put pieces of infrastructure that actually align with them. So the first thing we did was, just like we were learning about the new legacy pork, was a financial infrastructure. That's the first step. And how farmers are gonna get, they're gonna either buy land or build the barns or buy the chicks and buy the feed and all of that. Even if they're buying it from the neighbor, there's still exchange of money and all of that, and it has to be in place. So we partnered with Shared Capital, it's a national capital financing company, and then we went around the country and started to gather financial investors and all of that to line up behind Shared Capital so that all of the farmers that want to come into tree range have access to that initial capital, both for infrastructure and also for real estate. The real estate side, we worked it out with Iroquois Valley Farms out of Illinois. So with them on one side and with the share capital on the other, we secure that part so that farmers, no matter where they are, here in Fairfield or Nebraska where we operate, in South Dakota where we have an operation with the natives in Pine Ridge, or whether in Minnesota, they can access the same infrastructure no matter where in the country they are. That was central to making it available to all these farmers. The next big thing was to ensure that we have a standard so that we watch over both the consumers, so that we are not overpricing the products, so that it's still very affordable, and on the other hand, that the farmer has a decent livelihood. And so this is calculated carefully. The middle, Tree Range is a contractor. We do similar to New Legacy pork. We have the contracting, processing, distribution, all of that. But the Tree Range is being handed out in ownership to the farmers and to consumers if they want to participate and invest in the brand. The idea being that the ownership and control, and as a result, the financial benefits spread out. What we say is we are not in the business, we are in the business of making money, yes. Everybody has to make money, but it's not profit making. It's called profit sharing, like you said. And so profit sharing is more important, because if a farmer doesn't make a profit, doesn't mean they won't get a profit out of the system, even if they don't get a profit at the beginning when they sell their chicken or their pork or whatever. So that's the way we have structured this, layers and layers of infrastructure that we have now put together, so that as we go into new communities, we can bring the whole package and de-risk, in other words, the whole process by which farmers, consumers, and businesses in the middle can participate in the process.
Follow-up question is, what can the people out here do to help advance this? And I know obviously they can buy these alternative products, but oftentimes there's sort of a certain amount of denial. I mean, frankly, if it doesn't say anything on the shelf, it's CAFO. Pork, chicken, eggs. If it doesn't specialize it on the label, and read the label carefully, it isn't. It's just a commodity CAFO stuff. Dean, did you want to make comments?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, that's, going to ag conferences and also marketing oriented discussions in the industry. The focus on the industry is going forward is to have credible claims, and it's third-party verification of your claims. And that's why these, the claims that we're making, and most of you are familiar with non-GMO verified Project Verified. That's a third-party verification system. The Global Animal Partnership that we're using is a third-party verification system. USDA Organic is a third-party verification system. So even if you're not organic, these other systems, these other labels are going to be more and more prevalent. For us right now, the gap, I mean, there's so much going on in people's lives. I mean, who's going to keep track of all this stuff? But it's important for us because in the industry, they understand what it is and they know what it is. There's grocery chains that will talk to us because they know what the Global Animal Partnership is. It's big in Whole Foods markets. They actually have their GAP ratings on all their meat products now in most of their stores. And that's going to spread probably. There's a good chance the GAP standards will become more prevalent. But third-party verification, look for the stickers, logos. I mean, those are things that the farmers are being scrutinized for following those standards. Otherwise, you're making claims that have absolutely they're unsubstantiated claims that mean absolutely nothing. It's natural. Good luck.
So it's going to take wise consumers, just like wise farmers. Right. Maybe, John, it's getting late. We should take that 5-minute break.
I think so. But people, some people may need to go home, but we're going to come back after about 5 minutes, and then you're going to be able to ask questions of the panel as well. So we'll have a short break, and then we'll resume with the panel of questions and audience. But I want to remind people that may be leaving or later on that we have people handing out sheets when you leave that will tell you what you can do to make a difference. And so make sure that you pick up one of those sheets if you leave. And there's also a table outside where you can sign the petition for a statewide moratorium on CAFOs if you haven't already done so. So please stay around for the social hour also. We're going to have a social hour this year that's new after the panel discussion. And we'll have light snacks and a cash bar then, and you'll have an opportunity then to visit with the speakers individually at the social hour after we conclude the panel. So we're going to take about 5 minutes here for those of you that do need to leave, so that we don't have people just, leaving here and there. And then we'll be back in 5 minutes, and if you have questions from the audience, then we'll get those questions. We have microphones down in front. You can come up and ask questions of the panel from the audience as soon as we come back.